Well, the Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Amason Kingi, currently presiding over the business of the Senate this afternoon, has just directed that the floor at this particular juncture is not available to any other senator owing to the...
Enoch, I used very basic English. I know you. You have such a wonderful grasp of the language. You need not to get any clarification.
It is exactly 15:04 p.m. this afternoon, being the 17th day of October 2024. The afternoon sitting of the Senate this afternoon was to kick off with the Deputy President taking the stand, bearing in mind the DP, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, is the sole witness in the case where the National Assembly, through the move of the motion, Honorable Mwengi Mutuse has leveled 11 grounds for impeachment of the Deputy President from office. We have already dispensed with the prosecution side, and during this afternoon sitting, immediately after the commencement of business, the council representing the National Assembly have confirmed to the House that they do not intend to call more witness in regards to this case. The counsel for the Deputy President had requested the House through the Speaker that any evidence where the witnesses are not appearing be expunged from the record. It is a moment of waiting at the Senate this afternoon as the House awaits the arrival of the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who is set to take the stand at the Senate and prosecute his case through himself as well as his defense, and convince senators why the 11 grounds listed for impeachment should be quashed by the House. Our dear viewers, the motion for the removal by impeachment of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, has 11 grounds where the National Assembly is seeking to have the Senate uphold the charges, or at least one of them, to have the Deputy President cease to hold office today. The mover of this motion, Honorable Mwengi Mutuse, who also serves as Kibwezi West lawmaker, has told senators for the better part of yesterday and today that his desire through this motion is that the House finds the Deputy President to have committed the offenses listed in this motion. And this afternoon, the defense of the Deputy President, led by Senior Counsel Lawyer Paul Muite, will be seeking to water down those charges by the evidence that they will be presenting before the Senate this afternoon. And to just take you through probably some of the charges that the Deputy President will be seeking to counter this afternoon. is charge number 1 on the gross violation of the Constitution and any other law. This is pursuant to Articles 150, subsection 1BI of the Constitution.
Charge number 2 in the impeachment motion by Honorable Member for Kibwezi West. The Honorable Member alleges in his motion that there is gross violation of Articles 147 subsection 1 and 152 subsection 1 of the Constitution,
where the Deputy President is being accused of undermining the presidency. Under Article 147 subsection 1 of the Constitution, the Deputy President is the principal assistant of the President and shall deputize the President in the execution of President's function.
In this motion, the Honorable Deputy President is accused of going in contravention with cabinet resolutions on matters evacuation of people residing along Nairobi River, and that shortly after His Excellency, shortly after being in contravention with the cabinet resolution, the Deputy President made public a statement opposing the Nairobi River riparian execution orders. According to the mover of the motion, this is undermining the resolutions by the cabinet. Under charge number 3, again on gross violation of Article 6, subsection 2, Articles 10, subsection 2A, Article 174, and Article 188, and the 4th schedule of the Constitution, where the Deputy President is accused of undermining devolution. The mover of the motion in his motion states that on the 20th of September 2024, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, recklessly and mindful of the high calling and dignified status of the office of the Deputy President, unlawfully interfered with the running of the Nairobi County government by holding a public rally in which he incited citizens
against lawful directives by the Nairobi City County government on the planning and relocation of markets. This is just some of the grounds listed or some of the annexes under charge number 3, where the Deputy President is set to defend himself on these charges, among others.
Senior Counsel Paul Mwita, your time started running.
Mheshimiwa Speaker, may I?
Let me just conclude, Senior. Your time started running at the time I requested you to usher in your witness. You indicated that you're getting hold of your witness. We'll give you all the time you need to get hold of your witness, but to let you know that the clock is running, and it's running on your client. You can take all the time, but his time is running out. After 2 hours, he's not appeared, the chair will make a ruling pursuant to the rules of procedure.
Mheshimiwa Speaker, may I start first and foremost by expressing apologies and regrets that the Deputy President is not here, and by not being here, the inconvenience and delay caused to Mheshimiwa Speaker and to honorable senators. The position, Mheshimiwa Speaker, is that during that period that I went to try to find out why he wasn't here. Because as Mheshimiwa Speaker knows, the Deputy President has been coming here absolutely punctually every day. The sad reality is that the Deputy President, the Republic of Kenya, has been taken sick, very sick, and as I address Mr. Speaker in this honorable House, Senators, he is in hospital, Mheshimiwa Speaker. That is a sad reality.
Order, honorable senators. Order, honorable senators. Senator Kajwang. Now, Counsel for the National Assembly, you have had Senior Counsel Paul Mwite for and on behalf of the Deputy President. Considering that this is a time-bound process, what is your reaction?
Mr. Speaker, sir, this is a house governed by the rule of law. We truly empathize with the difficulty that His Excellency, the Deputy President, has found himself in. But Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to Rule 11 of the rules governing this process, if I may, with your permission,
maybe Counsel for the National Assembly.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Just take a seat before you make your rejoinder. Senior Counsel Paul Mwite, having said whatever you've said, what is your proposed way forward so that a reaction can be put from the National Assembly? Are you telling us we wait until your client gets here? What is your proposed way forward?
Mheshimiwa Speaker, I have just received this. Thank you.
Very well. Counsel for the National Assembly.
Mr. Speaker, sir, having very keenly listened to my learned senior colleague, Paul Mwite, Senior Counsel, it puts us in a bit of a difficulty because whereas we may want to empathize with the situation, there appears to be no indication from their end as to a specific proposal. Mr. Speaker, sir, this being a house governed by rules and this process being a time-bound process, I will draw your attention to Rule 11 of the rules of this House. If I may read, Mr. Speaker, sir, that where the National Assembly or the President chooses not to appear before the Senate, that fact shall be put on record and the Senate shall proceed with its investigation without further reference to the National Assembly or the President, but the Senate may, for exceptional reasons to be recorded, permit a later appearance before the Senate by the National Assembly or the President. Mr. Speaker, sir, I think this rule would give us guidance. We may proceed. If it becomes necessary, then any additional material may then be availed. This is a time-bound constitutional process, Mr. Speaker, sir. I'm most obliged.
Let me pick the wisdom of my wonderful senators before I make my decision on the way forward. Now, I understand that all of you are wise men and women.
Speaker, can I just say a word?
Yes.
I've heard what Senior Counsel Paul Muite has said, and Mr. Speaker, you have made it quite clear that these proceedings are time-bound. It's not so much about the situation in which His Excellency the Vice President finds himself. It's about the Senate complying with the provisions of the Constitution. That within that time frame, you must make a decision. Reading the standing orders that my learned friend, Mr. Rick Gumbo, has referred to, it would be useful to this House if Senior Counsel Paul Muite could probably give us a way forward in terms of the time limitation that the Senate has. I'm saying this because we don't want somebody to say that the Deputy President was not given an opportunity to be heard. I think the Senate will want him to be heard. But knowing the time limitation, what suggestions does the Senior Counsel have to ensure that we keep within the time parameters? At the same time, the Deputy President is given his space to defend himself.
So we have two sides. We have the minority side and the majority side. I will only allow the two leaders to speak. If you need to consult in the next 1 minute, now, honorable senators, our standing orders have not been suspended yet. It is only Senator Mazayo and the majority leader. The rest, take your seat. The rest, please take your seat. Order, honorable senators. Order, order, honorable senators. Order, honorable senators. Senator Sigei, please take your seat. Now, honorable senators, we are facing a very unprecedented situation. At the rise of this House at 1:15, I indicated that upon resumption, we were going to hear the Deputy President. Upon resumption, Senior Counsel Paul Mwite, for and on behalf of the Deputy President, when I asked him to usher in the Deputy President for purposes of presenting him to give his evidence in chief, the senior counsel indicated that even he was unaware of the whereabouts of his client, and he asked for a few minutes to go fetch him, wherever he was. After a few minutes, Senior Counsel Paul Mwite came back to the chamber and indicated that he had gotten information which he was yet to verify, that his client had fallen sick, and indicated that he needed time to go look for him in whichever hospital he is, and that he should be given up to 5 p.m. today. The Counsel for the National Assembly, in response, indicated that this is a time-bound process. He referred to the Senate to rule Rule 11 of our Rules of Procedure, that where the Deputy President fails to appear, the Senate can actually proceed, or for exceptional reasons to be recorded, permit a later appearance before the Senate of the Deputy President. Having considered the two sides, my directions are as follows: that we will suspend this sitting and resume at exactly 5. So the Deputy President, we expect the Deputy President then to take the witness stand at 5. This is a time-bound process, unfortunately. It is so ordered.
The Speaker of the Senate has directed that the sitting be adjourned for about a couple of hours to allow the counsel for the Deputy President to get hold of him. As it is, our dear viewers, at this particular juncture, the lead counsel for the Deputy President has just told the House that they could not get hold of their client, requesting for more time to get in touch with the client. Senior Counsel Lawyer Paul Mwite has told the House the information he has is that the Deputy President has been taken ill. And so for this juncture, we will be taking you back to the broadcasting house KBC. We will be resuming these normal proceedings again at 5 p.m. My name is Gladys Mungai, and on behalf of the broadcasting team that made this possible, we will be back with this live broadcast at 5 p.m. this evening.
la Msambweni ambalo mimi naliwakilisha hapa, ikipitia eneo bunge la Matuga, eneo bunge Mheshimiwa Tandaza nalo liunganisha hapa, ikifika eneo bunge la Lungalunga. Hii barabara Mheshimiwa Speaker, ni kama imesahauliwa na hili shirika letu la Kenha. Barabara hii kama tunavyojua,
miundo mbinu ndio uti wa mgongo wa maendeleo yoyote, na katika sehemu hizi ndio sehemu ambazo katika Kwale County tumezizingatia sana pakubwa katika swala zima la ukulima. Huku watu wanafanya ukulima kama sehemu ya Shimba Hills. Hiyo ndio sehemu ambayo ukuzaji wa machungwa yanakuzwa kwa hali ya wingi sana. Nikisema machungwa yale tunayotumia katika mkoa wa Pwani, 70% yanatoka katika mji wa Shimba Hills na barabara yake haipitiki. Kwa hiyo hata mimi ningemuomba mwenyekiti wa ile komiti ya transport atueleze, aje hapa atueleze wizara iko na mikakati gani ya kuhakikisha hii barabara inakarabatiwa kwa haraka upesi. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Speaker.
Zaire.
Honorable Chair, Honorable Speaker, I acknowledge the response and the statement from the members, but the chairman will give a comprehensive response in the next 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, so that. Yes, Gichumu.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. Honorable Speaker, on the 2nd day of October 2024, I requested a statement from the Chairman, Committee of Agriculture, regarding the payment of tea bonus for Kemunye and Lumaita tea factories, which are situated within Gachagua constituency. And there was a commitment through the Vice Chair that this statement will be coming, will be responded to within 2 weeks, which lapsed yesterday. Honorable Speaker, this matter is of utmost urgency because the tea farmers from the 2 factories are have still boycotted plucking, and it is important that the matter be handled with a little bit of urgency so that I can be able to give feedback to the farmers that I represent in Gachagua.
Thank you, Mutunga. You are supposed to respond to that in the last 2 weeks, I'm told.
Honorable Speaker, the issue of tea has been countrywide, not in one area.
Do you have the response?
I do not have the response, but we are getting the response in a week's time, because we are also going out this week to even establish by ourselves what exactly caused the variance in pricing.
Okay.
Of the bonuses.
Thank you. Starting with the Chair Rhodes, I'm told, Zaire, you have the responses. Start by responding to the statement of Monica Marubu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on Thursday, 19th June 2024, the member for Lamu County, Honorable Monica Marubu, Member of Parliament, requested for a statement from the Chairman of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure regarding the status of compensation for fishermen in Lamu County. Honorable Speaker, in the statement, the Honorable Monica Marubu sought to establish, among other things, details of the fishermen said to receive compensation, including their areas of residence fishing grounds, and state criteria used for the verification process. Honorable Speaker, measures in place to ensure that only fishermen from the affected fishing grounds and local fisher community receive compensation and provide timelines for completion of the compensation process. And why the government is yet to implement a fishing value chain approach to boost the fishing industry of the area, considering that the compensation provided to fishermen does not provide a long-term solution, hence jeopardizing the sustainable source of livelihood of the community. Honorable Speaker, the committee received a response from the Ministry of Roads and Transport through the Clerk of the National Assembly on the 20th of September 2024, which I wish to make. Honorable Speaker, regarding the details of the fishermen to receive the compensation, including the areas of residence, fishing grounds, and state criteria used for the verification process. The ministry acknowledged that the fishermen residing in Lamu County are set to receive cash compensation. It also noted that the affected victims were identified through beach management units with the cooperation of the local BMUs, chairs, and the county government. Honorable Speaker, in March 2023, KPA, Kenya Ports Authority, began verifying and processing agreements for compensation, initially approving 4,026 fishermen. However, a directive from the EACC halted payments for further verification. Honorable Speaker, after completing their investigation, the EACC validated 4,167 fishermen, while an additional 567 names were requested for verification. As per the court order from December 1st, 2022, KPA has commenced compensation payments of Kenya shilling 241,714 to each of the 4,026 approved fishermen and boat owners, totaling to 973,141,852. Honorable Speaker, payments were to be completed by June 2nd, 2024. Up to date, KPA successfully processed payments to 3,887 fishermen, while 139 payments bounced due to incorrect bank details. Honorable Speaker, with regards to the measures in place to ensure that the fishermen from the affected fishing grounds and local fisher community receive compensation and provide timelines for completion of the compensation process, the ministry submitted that KPA, guided by the EACC, will adhere to a set criteria. The compensation is expected to be completed by mid of December 2024, contingent on the chairs of beach management units, famously known as the BMUs, providing the identities of the 567 disputed names. Honorable Speaker, the list of the eligible fishermen and boat owners were compiled by officials of the BMU and representatives from the county government of Lamu, based on the following criteria. 1, they must have been fishermen or boat owner by October 16, 2016. They must have been registered with the county government of Lamu as either fishermen or boat owner or by the same date. Honorable Speaker, regarding the reasons government is yet to implement fishing value chain approach to boost the fishing industry of the area, considering the compensation provided to fishermen does not provide a long-term solution, hence jeopardizing the sustainable source of livelihood of the community. the cash compensation is 65% of the Lamu fishermen compensation amount. Honorable Speaker, the other 35% of the fund consists in 40 million set aside by the government for development of physical infrastructure and support services toward the fishing industry in the area. KPA is set to engage the Lamu stakeholders on the nature of equipment they will wish KPA to procure as part of the sustainability development. A task force, Honorable Speaker, that was formed in 2019 to follow up on the compensation and its modalities. Honorable Speaker, it is prudent to note, however, that due to passage of time and changing fishing dynamics in Lamu County, Honorable Speaker, there is need to have this report proposal validated in terms of the identity of the equipment and the equivalent specifications before the validation exercise. Honorable Speaker, the task force will be required to conduct consultative and stakeholder participation engagement
activities in Lamu County. This is a process to be undertaken by the members of the task force before KPA and can move towards a procurement stage. Honorable Speaker, as I wind up, KPA has planned to engage the ministry on the same early in November. Honorable Speaker, I submit.
Okay, the originator of the question, do you want to make a comment?
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the honorable member and a member of the said committee have indicated that the identification and indeed the compilation of the list of the beneficiaries were done in collaboration with everyone else except the members of Parliament of the National Assembly. KPA is the Ministry of Transport.
Speaker of the Senate, I beg your pardon, because the Senate Speaker has said that he should be there to make his submissions at that time, and which is at 5 p.m., which is just about 1 hour 12 minutes from now. This is quite a moment right now because it's putting the legal minds in very tricky situations because they're not too sure what this means, what if if he is unwell, we hope that he gets well soon and his life is safe, in terms of just the illness.
Yes.
But if he's unable to leave hospital now for whatever reason on advice of the doctors, what then happens? Is it a case where we can say that say his lawyers can represent him? Will they represent him the way he would have done himself? Is it that there are some details they may not be having that even if they were to do so, they would then have fallen short of what he would feel would be justice done to his side of the story being told. And then again, like we said, it's just also the constitutional timelines are on trial now as well, and how much the Senate can actually abide by the law given this circumstance, because with illness, as has been said, again I reiterate, as has been said, the illness is also, it also brings to the fore the question on the humaneness of the people who are handling the process. I've been told once that the law has no grace. The law is the law,
It's how you read it and interpret it.
Yes, and if you see what Orengo had said, is that this is not about the situation the DP finds himself in.
Yes.
But it's about the Senate complying with the provisions of the Constitution, and they must make a decision within a certain time. So you can see there that this is what the law says.
Yes.
The other side of humanity is about there's an ill man here according to what his lawyers have said. So how do we strike that balance? And so it's quite a dicey one right now. Legally, even as much not knowing what information is out there, could it possibly be making people a bit more concerned around the country? Is he safe? So I believe that, ideally, his team, whether it's the legal team or his official team, should be giving some kind of an update, ideally, on his health, just to also calm any tensions that may be going
in the country.
Yes.
Dan, also remember, also Parliament has the legal department. So I think even within this break, they will also have time to maybe consult within the legal department to be able to be guided. This is a political process. So as much as it is time-bound, they also need to consult and see, so which is the best way forward that will actually also grant the Deputy President fair trial. Because even if the Senate was to decide to proceed with it, is it a process that will actually give loopholes for the DP to actually seek legal action? Or is it a decision that everyone will be satisfied that even if the Deputy President was not available, his case has been heard and the senators have actually delivered justice.
Okay.
So these are some of the questions that we'll be looking into to actually see. And the onus now lies with the Senate and the Senate leadership. How will they decide to move forward with this? Remember when the lead counsel, Paul Mwite, was informing the House, he said even himself, he didn't know where his client was.
Yes.
And he had to inquire to be told that he has been taken ill. So these are some of the issues that are really coming up because it's something that was not envisaged, but it is happening. And the country has been waiting and anxious to see what exactly will happen today. The 2 days period that had been set aside, people actually knew that today the Senate will have already been dispensed with the impeachment process.
Yes.
So as we wait for 5 p.m., there are so many things that have happened in the Senate. Remember yesterday, even after the sponsor, that is Kibwezi West MP, Mwenge Mtuse, after he had moved his motion and the cross-examination, we also saw the acting CEO of KEMSA being put on the stand. And today we have actually seen the deputy CEO of EACC also coming in to give their evidence. And this just alludes to what has been before the National Assembly and to give Kenyans the perspective of what exactly and the weight of the charges that the Deputy President is facing.
Okay, and like I said, we'll shortly be speaking to a lawyer on phone just to get some greater insight in terms of the legal dynamics around this, because this is one that many of us who are not scholars of law would easily be groping in some form of darkness. And I'd just like to invite the viewers to send us their thoughts on our WhatsApp number, which I will read out. It is 0112 500 400. 0112 500 400. Send us your messages, your thoughts on the same on WhatsApp, and we shall sample some of them. Let's just keep the conversation on that being as sober as possible. Let's not have derogatory language or otherwise, just so that we can have some that is possible to broadcast. And you know, I believe you can express yourself in a way that is going to be fair to us to be able to communicate across the board. And so some of the questions we'll be looking to understand from the legal dynamic are what the options are here for the Senate, what the options are here for...
And remember, the National Assembly passed yesterday. There was a motion by the majority leader Kimani Ichung'wah that they were seeking to alter the House calendar to have a special sitting tomorrow.
Yes.
So
at 9:30 a.m.
At 9:30 a.m. We know that they had indicated that they were going to dispense with the pending bills that were there, but they were not of urgency to actually call for a special sitting. So where we sit, we know that this could maybe have been because of what is happening in the Senate. But the fact that now the key witness is MIA and has been taken ill, maybe this also complicates matters, because even as the House seeks to sit tomorrow before they proceed on short recess, then what exactly will they be discussing beyond the pending bills?
Okay, that's because this has also been part of the speculation that's been going on. Just the argument around, is it that there's going to be a new deputy president who's been nominated?
Yes.
And in the event that that's the case, let's just throw in as a hypothetical situation, which might come to pass, I don't know. But if, say, the Senate today resumes the sittings, the deputy president there, and the process goes on, and the deputy president is impeached.
Yes.
that they uphold the impeachment. Then we get, for example, a name that is gazetted of person XYZ as the next deputy president. What would be the process after that?
Actually, then, if you look at the Constitution Article 149 on the vacancy in the office of the Deputy President, it means that once the Senate is dispensed of the impeachment process and the Deputy President stands impeached, then the Speaker of the Senate is supposed to gazette the resolutions of the House and declaration of a vacancy in the office of the Deputy President. And then the President, who by that article is required to nominate within 14 days. And 14 days means even 1 minute after.
It's within, as long as it's 0 to 14.
So he will be required to communicate to the Speaker of the National Assembly, nominating his preferred candidate, so that the House can actually now pronounce themselves on that candidate. Now, Parliament has 60 days to decide, to vet, to debate on the candidate. Now, where we are talking about a lacuna in the Constitution is as opposed to the other articles of how to nominate a state officer when it comes to the cabinet secretary, when it comes to principal secretaries, attorney general, the DPP, the director NIS, inspector general, and the deputies. For the deputy president, it's quite unique in the fact that once the name has been sent to Parliament, the National Assembly is supposed to take a vote. Then now the question comes in, where does the role of IBC come into this? Where does the role of the institutions that are supposed to check the suitability of this candidate comes in? Because remember, when you're going for an election, the position of a running mate of the president or a running mate for a deputy, for a governor, the IBC is supposed to be, to check whether this person meets all the qualifications that are needed. Are they degree holders? Do they meet the Chapter 6 requirement? Are they registered voters? So you see again with the process the way it is, and under that article, it doesn't elaborate that. And I think that is why Parliament was supposed to come up with a legislative law to actually give us a legal framework of how a deputy president can be replaced. But for now, what we are relying on is the Article 149 on how to replace a deputy president.
Okay, and just again, for the benefit of those who may not have caught it, we want to just rerun some of the sound bites from the Senate session where this matter came up, where the Speaker of the Senate spoke about time running out, as well as when Paul Mwite, senior counsel, who is the lead counsel in the Deputy President's team. So let's listen to them. This happened not too long ago.
Your time started running at the time I requested you to usher in your witness. You indicated that you're getting hold of your witness. We'll give you all the time you need to get hold of your witness, but to let you know that the clock is running, and it's running on your client.
The Deputy President is not here, and by not being here, the inconvenience and delay caused to Mheshimiwa Speaker and to honorable senators. The position, Mheshimiwa Speaker, is that during that period that I went to try to find out why he wasn't here, because as Mheshimiwa Speaker knows, the Deputy President has been coming here absolutely punctually every day. The sad reality is that the Deputy President, the Republic of Kenya, has been taken sick, very sick, and as I address Mr. Speaker in this honorable House, senators, he is in hospital, Mheshimiwa Speaker. That is a sad reality.
Okay, like we said, give us some of your feedback on our WhatsApp platform, our WhatsApp number, and so I'm going to sample some. Hi, NTV, I believe DP Gachagua is going nowhere considering the move. The motion failed to substantiate his claims. I am waiting from Buri in Meru. Then we have, this one is still insufficient evidence. This is Henry from Thika. Insufficient evidence to support the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua. Ruto's impeachment loading. This is another one of those cases, I guess, which is about Kufa Dereva, Kufa Makanga. Let's see what this is. What has just happened in the Senate proceedings is unprecedented, but I'm a little suspicious how he could fall sick a few minutes before he could take the stand. Let's see. I am Mr. Keme from Kapsisiwa. I want to wish quick recovery to the Deputy President. The Senate should give enough time to recover so that he comes to testify, because we have been waiting to hear from the truthful man, or men, if you like. Let's see this one. An unprecedented event on our case, a time-bound process of the impeachment of the Deputy President. The law, the constitutions needs to be followed. It's interesting to watch how it goes, which is exactly what was saying Roslyn about. This is someone else saying, just interesting to see how this goes, how it will play out in terms of legally, because again, like we've said, it's quite a situation. Let's see. Hey, I guess Mr. DP Gachagua ametense kiasi and pressure ikapanda juu, of which is normal cause issue about life and his career in political party. This is Yvonne from Utawala. So she's saying that it probably the pressure is increasing. We could see some people are saying quick recovery to him, quick recovery to the DP. Some saying he will survive that. I believe it's the impeachment. Then some are speaking different languages, I think. Some say, let me see. There's one I'd seen. Your messages are coming in quick and fast. Some says, in my view, the DP is just being strategic. The senators have their minds already made up. He wants to address the Kenyan Mwananchi, not the Honorable August House, which pretty much also embodies the spirit of what the DP himself had communicated the day when he had the press briefing at his residence in Karen the day before. Let's see what this is saying. Hi, NTV, I'm Kefa Odhiambo from Homa Bay. By 5 p.m., I believe Gachagua should be impeached so we can move forward. Kenya is bigger than him. This also speaks again to some of the fatigue that some people have been having in terms of the fatigue over the political dynamics and this whole impeachment motion going on. And so we are still looking at different views from different people. I see someone saying, let's pray for the DP. Then we see also quick recovery to the DP, give him time. Someone here says tactical maneuver meant to evade cross-examination and precipitate a constitutional moment, an intentional and well-calculated move that has left all of us groping in darkness. Obviously, this move works in favor of the Deputy President. Despite the humane situation at hand, now, DP's illness might be against him. He'll be impeached because it's a time-bound process. That's Richie from Kigali, Rwanda. So we are not only talking to people here in Kenya. So there are different. Someone says, "Wamalize two story once." You know, the people who are again just talking about the fatigue around this whole thing. People want to move on. With life should get back to usual. Someone here says it's normal for one to get sick. This one says this is a person who I believe is trying to try and guess, or to speculate on who will be the next deputy president. Irungu Kangata. That is if Rigathi Gachagua is impeached. They say Irungu Kangata's file has been pulled out for intelligence clearance. Moranga Nimwafikiwa. That is Kamba for Mumefikiwa. They have gotten to you. Next should be security upgrade and detailed briefing. He should get a new phone and new line by end of day and a new code name. Ignore me. But Musalia Hapati, and as in everything he says, but the president would not consider him. I've just sanitized that sentence nonetheless. Then we have there's someone who says, President working hard, why hurry? By Senate, they should give him time and come back. That's Dennis in Uganda. And so, Roslyn, we're seeing a sense of what people are saying. There are some who are just genuinely saying that we are empathizing with the deputy president. Some are saying, quick recovery. Some are reading strategy in all this, saying it's a tactical move to test the waters in terms of test the timelines and going by the timelines. And there are some who are saying that it's part of a bigger plan. Some are saying he's going to resign. Some are saying he should get more time. That is the sense that we are getting from what people are saying to us generally. The sense that we're getting from the messages we're seeing on our WhatsApp channel. Some are saying it's so sad. Some still are feeling, they don't believe that the deputy president himself is actually ill, but we are going by what his lawyer has said. That is Paul Mwite. That is what we're saying. And not too long ago, with his team left Parliament's precincts to go to the DP's office first and foremost, I believe, but they did not give any details. Rather, they didn't give any details to our team, who are at Parliament on anything. They have been tight-lipped about it. So the most information that is there as at now, which at least for me officially put out, is that is what was said in the chambers of the Senate, that he is unwell and that the sitting has been suspended until 5 p.m. And so we are going to be getting up, some more context in terms of the legal dynamics around all this. And Roslyn, after hearing some of the views of Wananchi here on WhatsApp, and we shall get to some of them, what is the sense that you get?
I feel the situation has caused more confusion among Kenyans. Because first, they are not really sure, is the deputy president unwell, or this is just a strategy to prolong the impeachment process, or it's a strategy for him to actually prepare himself in the event that Senate decides to take a vote to send him home. Then it doesn't come in as a surprise, but it finds that he was already prepared to actually vacate office. So all these are issues that are coming up, and also some Kenyans are just empathetic, because with sickness you never know. Maybe some are saying because he was not prepared, and then there is that anxiety and the panic mode that finally it has arrived. It is you to take the stand and actually defend cases that have been presented before you.
All right. And I see there's someone from Alex from Madura, or I guess Madura or Madira, one of the two. Again, these are pictures you're seeing on your screen, which were earlier on, which came up earlier, which happened earlier on when he was coming to the Senate. So that was earlier on, the deputy president, when he came to the Senate to for his impeachment trial proceedings, as he was arriving. And so that was some hours back. So as at now, we don't know exactly where he is. What we know, according to his lawyers, is that he is he is in hospital. Which hospital, we are yet to officially get informed. And we also know that he has been given until 5 p.m. To be back and make his submissions, present his evidence before the Senate, which is the trial place as at the moment. And so we are looking to see where the truthful man is. So and we hope that if he's unwell, that he gets well and soon, and we hope that this will all play out. Well for everyone, for the greater good of Kenyans, even as we look at what a constitutional moment, which is having even more constitutional pressure being put upon it, so that we could be able to get a sense of it. And just for further context, in terms of the legal dynamics around this, because this, while it is a political, it's a hybrid, political and legal. We see the political dynamic of it, but we also see the legal. And so we are now joined in studio by Sekou Owino, who's the head of legal here at the Nation Media Group. Sekou, thank you for coming up the stairs and joining us in studio. And welcome. This is such a pickle, let me call it that, just in terms of what exactly is happening. What do you make of this situation?
Okay, as we said from the beginning, that this was going to be, it's something new in our structures. We are testing the constitutional seams, and really at its seams.
Yes.
Real limits of it. It was going to be the first time we were going to hear an impeachment motion before regarding a deputy president under the current constitution. And now almost every imaginable scenario is turning up in the sense that perhaps nobody could have thought that when a deputy president is being impeached, he turns up unable to attend because he's unwell. Yet again, to their credit, I don't know whether I can say that, the rules contemplated the absence of the subject of an impeachment motion, whether the president or his deputy not being present, so that they proceed. But it's something for us to think about in light of this. There's been this thinking, and these two are now conflating here. At the time the Constitution was being drafted, part of the arguments there, if you go back to it, part of the arguments, even at Bomas regarding impeachments, was that the timeline is too short. We're talking about 7 days after the motion is placed, Parliament must make a decision on it, and 7 days after it's received by the Senate, they too must make a decision on it. And so the thinking is, could it be that it's too short, they don't get to get all the witnesses, they don't get to be whatever, but the thinking then was also that if you make it also too long, the pressures like the one we see also should not play out in the country too long. So I think it's for us to think about, again, if we were ever to go and to begin to think about amending the Constitution, is this one of the things we would want to think about? Some of the timelines that the Constitution has set for us. You remember people argue the same with regards to the presidential election petitions. We think 14 days is too short, but then others also say, no, this is something that is very, very politically laden and sensitive. It needs to be done and dusted and concluded in the shortest possible time. That is what is playing out today, because then, as you can see, the Senate is clear that the timelines are tight. They do not have even an opportunity to extend it. If you read the Constitution, you do not see that you even have an opportunity to extend it, so that even if the deputy president had asked, please give me the weekend, I come back tomorrow, or even I come back next Monday, whether that would be possible if you'd be feeling well. You can see that the timelines in the Constitution, a decision must be made today, by the end of the day, either way. So it adds to the pressures of this, and being our first time, you can see how it is. Yeah. But one hopes, one sees that, okay, we have a Constitution that tests, it's a living document. How we go about this teaches us lessons about how to do it. But it also shows that we have a fairly robust Constitution, very, very, not perhaps as malleable as we would want it, but very, very strong and ductile, to use that metallurgical term.
Yeah.
And it conceives of these possibilities, and
so just for clarity, is it possible at this point for there to be a change and say that, the deputy president is too unwell to make it by 5 p.m., for instance, so his submissions will be made by his lawyers? Is that something that can be admitted by the Senate?
I don't know. I don't think so. If you read the documentation that you had, and I've got the opportunity and the chance to have read them, whatever is there is a statement by the deputy president himself. That is why he was the one who was going to take the role of the witness. It's technically speaking, it's like a witness in court. If the witness doesn't turn up, the lawyer can't come in and step in his place. They perform two different functions. So it would not be possible as I see it now, and especially even worse now, because in his case, he had indicated that he was going to be the sole witness. This is the kind of situation where you have a case, the sole witness is unable to turn up.
So you can't even buy time with another witness?
Yeah, because they hadn't had any. We're going to get the same time pressures that we have here. It's a reason why this time pressure issue is something we must think about as a country.
I'm just curious. So if today lapses, do we still have a deputy president in Gachagua?
Let me tell you, I don't think today will lapse. I don't think today will lapse, and I'm not going to second guess the Senate. But I think by the end of the day, they're going to have to vote. They may have to decide. It's just the same way sometimes in court cases. If a witness doesn't turn up, you'll be told, close your case. The lawyers make their submissions, and the judge or jury makes a decision. So I think today a decision will be made either way. They may acquit him, in which case he remains in office, and or if they convict him on any of the charges, then he'll cease to hold office, unless then he challenges it in a different arm of government, that is in the judiciary. So I think from the way the rules are and the constitutional intention, the Senate must make a decision today on this, whichever way.
Where does that put now the issue of fair trial and Senate takes a vote? So if the Senate votes to send him home, then he ceases to hold office. So where does that leave us? Because from the start of this impeachment, he kept on talking about the issue of public participation and fair hearing, where even when we went for the public participation, he said the charges were presented to Kenyans without him getting an opportunity to actually put his side of the story. And I was just looking at the ruling by the Constitutional Court in 2021, the Sonko versus the county clerk and 11 others in a 3-judge bench led by Justice Said Chitembwe, Wildon Korir, and Wilfrida Okwany. And they also talked about this, and they were very emphatic. They all impressed on the issue of the threshold to remove a state officer. But again, they're also tying it into the conduct and integrity of a state officer. And if you tie that with the ruling of the Supreme Court, also again reaffirming the case of Sonko in 2022, they also talked about the issue of the place of public participation and the review of the courts in the event that an impeachment process has succeeded. But they were saying the impeachment should be at the extraordinary times for an impeachment to be done. Now, in the case where the key witness is nowhere to be seen, how does that play out? Because you say that where we are actually in a constitutional crisis at the moment.
Yeah, you know, it's we started by saying that this is, and Rosalind brings in a very important point about access to justice, and actually that's a constitutional right. This may take, and that's why I'm saying the moment in which we are, may take us to the courts to have to tell us, look, even though you have your right to access to justice, it must be, justice is a bundle of rights. It's not one right. It's a bundle of rights in terms of you must be heard and treated fairly procedurally, in terms of procedure, in terms of substance, be given the opportunity to present any evidence that you can present, okay? And you must be given the time to do it, reasonable time, but then within the limits of the law. In the same way, just like in a court case, if I was to give an example, people say that justice delayed is justice denied. So basically, there's a time constraint that people are conscious about in every forum where justice is supposed to be dispensed. So that is one of the things that we'll be thinking about and saying, look, where is the justice in this? Have we really given the deputy president a fair opportunity within the constraints that the Constitution has set to defend himself, to prepare his defense and to defend himself adequately? That is one of the questions that are going to be there. And I would, to be fair to the Senate, that seems to be one of what they've thought about, and they've said, okay, let's give him until 5 o'clock to see if he can come. So,
which I guess also gives them time to consult.
Yes, it gives them time to consult and think through what else do we, how else do we do this? Whether a decision may be made. A decision actually may be made to say, look, okay, even if we lose the chance to cross-examine him, can we consider his witness statement, as was done in another one? In the same one, you remember there was someone whose affidavit was on the record, but did not get to come and be cross-examined. And the speaker warned the senators that, look, consider this for what it's worth, but remember that this person did not present himself here for cross-examination. They may reach a similar decision, just out of trying to be fair to him and say, a decision has to be made. The deputy president has fallen ill. Please consider his statement for what it is. And remember, for purposes of its probity and its value, the fact that he has not been cross-examined on it. And then let the senators decide it whichever way.
Okay, and something that you'd mentioned, the Constitution, the Article 149, which talks about the vacancy of the office of the Deputy President. And something I find curious and I need just some clarity is, in the event that, say, Rigathi Gachagua is, the impeachment is upheld, And it says that if a person assumes office as deputy president under clause 1, then for purposes of Article 148, the person shall be deemed, then part B says, not to have served a term of office as deputy president. That is, if they will not have done it for
2.5 years.
Yeah, 2.5 years.
Yes.
So, Rigathi Gachagua was yet to get 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So, if today he's removed from office by way of impeachment, does that mean that he's eligible to vie as a deputy president for 2
Yes,
other elections?
that is the effect of it, yes. That's the effect of it.
So, beyond that, is there anything else that, in terms of when say which he shall not be deemed to have served? Is there any other implication of that?
No, the implication is just that he has not, because he has not served for 2.5 years, then that is considered as if he did not serve.
Okay.
And therefore, if he was to seek, so in subsequent elections, if he was to seek to be elected as a deputy president, he'll be deemed to be going for the first time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when we go back to the case of Mike Sonko, when there's a point he had stayed for very long without a deputy, when Igathe resigned. Is there anything legally that would say stop William Ruto from that kind of similar kind of a situation?
Yes. Let's remember, there's a difference between the county government and whatever. In the case of the president, he is obliged to nominate a person within 14 days of the vacancy arising.
Okay.
Yeah. In his case, there's a time limit within which he must nominate. Yeah. That was not the case.
And I think because it is expressed in the Constitution.
It's expressed. It's not like the one for the governors.
Yes.
All right. And what you're saying there is just the shots of outside Parliament. The presumption here is that if the deputy president is going to be making his way back to be in the Senate chambers by 5:30, I mean at 5 o'clock, I beg your pardon, which is the next 37 or so minutes, we should see his entourage driving in. So we are monitoring for that as we also try and establish whether, if he is not coming, we're still at hospital, where he is, and what the situation is, just to get a clearer picture of the situation at hand, even as we try and just look at the different dynamics around this whole, I don't know that it's right to call it a legal conundrum, because it's such a unique situation, because what Roslyn said about fair hearing, you know, and do we know if the deputy president had submitted his submissions officially there on record?
Yes.
Yeah, he had a statement.
So that means, so just to understand, if he had done that and it's officially there, and they decide that if he can't come, for instance, out of the doctor's direction, can say, Paul Mwite, come and read it verbatim, and that be considered to be his
submission.
No, it's to be his evidence. Yes, it can be considered his evidence.
Yes.
But it will be noted with regard to its value.
Okay.
And its weight, that he was not cross-examined on it.
Okay.
You know, evidence takes weight based on, okay, this is what you're saying.
Yes.
Then the other person is given the opportunity in cross-examination to challenge you on it.
Yes.
Okay. That is when then the evidence is then taken as solid. But here they'll be saying, this is just basically his statement. The other party did not get an opportunity to have their say on the value of that statement.
So it will be a one-way traffic, really.
Yes.
There's no cross-examination,
Yes.
re-examination. Okay. Which again is quite something. Do you think some of these things are going to bring up, and this is just both of you, to bring up the need again for a review of the law somehow, to be able to be so threaded to the detail that in the event ABCD happens, because we are finding ourselves in these kind of situations, or do you think it's something that might go again to the courts for interpretation?
I suspect it will go to the courts. I suspect it may go to the courts, especially if, as a result of this, an adverse decision is made. Then the question the court will be having to answer is that, look, had he been given the opportunity to present himself, okay, if he had been unwell and been given the opportunity to present himself, which he has been denied, he may have been able to explain himself in a way that would lead to a different decision from that which the Senate reached. And that's actually a fairly potent argument in my view, in terms of fairness as a basis for the decision the Senate has to make.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dan, I think that's why even the judges have been a bit reluctant to give the conservatory orders that Rigathi Gachagua and his legal team have been seeking, so that they don't injunct Parliament, but allow the process to be concluded, so that now they can actually weigh in on the issues that are deliberated and see if actually they meet the threshold. Now, if you listen to the ruling by Chacha Moita, for example, he raised very key fundamental issues, but he fell short of actually issuing an injunction to stop the Senate from considering this impeachment, which means these are some of the issues that will actually, if the Deputy President moves to court, to look at some of these issues. But again, if you look at it in terms of the issues that we have seen in Parliament and also some of the prayers that have been sought in court, then we find that we are really going to have a long time in the corridors of justice to actually test our constitution and also for the courts to pronounce themselves on some of these matters. Remember when the governor of Nyeri passed on, Derito Gachagua, that is Rigathi Gachagua's brother, there was a question that once a governor dies in office and the deputy president assumes office.
Deputy governor.
The deputy governor assumes office,
Yeah.
sorry. So what happens to the cabinet? It was not expressed in the constitution, but the courts pronounced themselves on it that that cabinet goes with the county, with the governor that was in office. Even though the governor who assumed, the deputy governor who assumed office of the governor decided to retain the cabinet, but they went through a fresh vetting because this was a new government. So maybe these are some of the legal issues that we will expect the court to actually pronounce themselves on, because remember, we still also have the issue of if a person is impeached, are you supposed to be barred from holding office for a term of 10 years? Or is it for how long? Because if you compare our constitution with the US constitution, because we are a pure presidential system, then the US caps it at 10 years. But when it comes to our constitution, and especially this of the deputy president, it says the person ceased to hold office. So we don't know within what period the person ceased to hold office. And even in terms of the pronouncement by the apex court, they also said governor ceases to hold office. But that period is not actually cut. So I think these are some of the issues that the court must actually pronounce themselves on, so that we have a clear cut on how this legal process is supposed to be undertaken. And also this also begs the question that Parliament should have actually come up with a legislative
process. Rigathi Gachagua resigned it.
Because if he resigns before that vote is taken, then basically he'll have resigned.
Okay? But the only question, I'm not sure in my mind, to whom does he submit his resignation? Is it to the president?
To the speaker or to the Public Service Commission? I'm not clear, I'll be honest about that. I'm not clear on the law on that.
Or the Chief Justice.
Yes, to whom does he submit? To whom does, like the president today, if he was to resign, we are only told that upon the resignation, Parliament is informed, isn't it?
Yes.
And then the deputy president.
Or is it to IBC?
So yes, who is this submitted to? I am not clear particularly with regard to the deputy, but then he submits it to the president. Once he submits it to whoever it is he's supposed to submit it, and it's received, then at the moment it is received, he ceases to hold office. So then we are in a different situation. There'll still be a vacancy, but then once he ceases to hold office and his resignation
is communicated, then he'll have ceased to be deputy president,
yes, yes.
and therefore the Senate will have no
There's no
basis.
one to remove.
Yeah,
because
there's no deputy president.
And what happens to
So
his
those proceedings
benefits, for
collapse.
instance? Because that's been a question that has been flying around. The benefits that would be due him as a person who has served, or really, because will it also be affected by the fact that he's not going to be considered to have served? Because you're not at 2.5 years.
He has not served for
2.5.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So is it that he's not considered? So there are no benefits that accrue him?
That's not my reading of the Constitution. My reading of the Constitution, as I said, with regard to that issue of timing of when he takes office, is only with regard to term limits. I don't think that if he was to resign today, that necessarily there'll be no benefits for him.
Okay. And just before we come back to advice, that we have another lawyer, that is Manuel Hosea, on the line to just give us some sense of what he reads from all this. Manuel, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
You hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. You can hear me?
Yes, Yes, I can hear you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on NTV. What is your reading of this matter in as far as the situation? We are in a time-bound process. The key witness is unavailable because of illness, according to the declarations of his lawyer. What's your reading of this whole situation?
I think it's important that we do not read too much into this process, because we are human beings, and every person is susceptible to falling sick at any point in time. Whereas the proceedings in the Senate are time-bound under the standing orders, there is a requirement that a due process ought to be followed during an impeachment process of a deputy president, like the situation we are in right now. So the expectation is that the Speaker of the Senate should consider adjourning the process until the deputy president is in a position to stand trial.
Remember, this is a quasi-judicial process, and there's an expectation from the Constitution, especially on fair trial. Article 50 of the Constitution provides that a person so subjected to a process of this nature, or any other process in a court of law, should actually, that process should actually ensure that there is a fair trial. Fairness includes accommodating a party who's on trial on medical grounds. And so it's a question